Hello and welcome to another tutorial. This one is on an app that I created a tutorial a couple of years ago, but as it is still popular and they've added a couple of new features here in 2019, I thought it would be worth bringing out again for those of you who may not know about the new updates, or for those of you who are finding it for the first time. Basically, Kahoot is a way to quickly build, in very few steps, a formative assessment tool that you can be used in your class. Now, it starts as a free tool, but they have a couple of other versions where for a very small amount of money, I think there's a plus version which can cost you $1 a month. You can be billed annually, so that's $12 a year, $1 a month. So if it's something that you use a lot, it does add a number of neat features. From my perspective, the most important one is the ability to stash things in folders, to create folders to keep these types of quizzes that you build so that you can use them in the future and don't have to always recreate them or have a kind of a messy dashboard inside your Kahoot account that can make it difficult to find some of these quizzes, some of these formative assessment pieces when you actually need them. And then there is a pro version which gives you access to a lot more images. Don't know if that's where you need to go, but that's only $3 a month for a total of $36, again with an annual billing cycle. Now I'm going to show you the free version, and I think that there is a lot of power in the free version, so you don't really have to consider any of those paid versions at all. The beauty of this is that there is no downloads for you or your students. A student can participate on a computer, or if you're doing this in the classroom, or even if you're doing this in an online environment, they can also participate with a tablet or a mobile device like a iPhone or an Android phone, that type of a thing. There are apps for students, and you can see over here to the right side, I'm mirroring my iPhone here, and this is what the Kahoot app looks like. So either in the App Store or in the Google Play area, you can get access to this app if this would be a recommendation for your students. To get to the tool itself, you can actually just Google Kahoot. You can go to kahoot.com or generally kahoot.it. That's the app you'll actually find, as well as a way for you to get directly to the product itself. Now I've already logged in. The screen that you will get when you go to kahoot.it is you will get a create an account, a sign up screen. You can use your various social media ways to get access, like Facebook. You can use your Google login, or you can just use an email and create an account that way. But as an instructor, you're going to want to create an account so that you can have a number of these Kahoot quizzes set up ahead of time, and then you can launch them, make them available when you need to for your class. So some of the new features, if you've been using Kahoot for a few years, I want to talk about some of the new features. They've expanded the timer, so the amount of time that a question can be available for a student to attempt an answer. They've created some additional space, additional characters that you have available to type your question. And then they also have a question bank, which I think is really valuable now, because rather than reinventing the wheel, you may have an idea for a question or particular subjects and may find that other people have already done it out there. You can actually find an entire quiz potentially on your subject and either use it as is, or you can even edit it, make some small modifications, maybe eliminate some questions, add some questions of your own, change the time frame, and go forward without recreating one from scratch. But they aren't hard to do. I'm going to show you a quick one, and then we'll actually launch a Kahoot and see how that works. So you would just create a new Kahoot and do that here, or you can do that here. Okay. And again, this is the free version. You do have other choices of things that you can do. I have only ever used the quiz because that works for what I need to do. So basically, here is your stage, and the platform is you start typing out a question. You can give it a title, which is a good idea, especially since we're going to be potentially, if this is a tool we use, we're going to have a number of different ones, and you may want to title them based on the subject, or it might be typed based on the class and the week of the class. Some options there. You can add an image, or you can even add a YouTube video. So maybe you have a question, they watch the video, and then they identify their responses here. Here's where you can set the time limit. Here's where you can delete a question if you've already created one and you decide that's not what I want. And then here's where you can duplicate a question. So maybe there is something that you want to kind of use again and maybe just adjust the answers slightly or change a portion of the question. Well, rather than starting over, you can actually duplicate the question. And then you have 4 answer choices here. You will identify the correct answer. After you add you have to have at least 2 choices, but you could have 3 or 4 total choices, and then once you enter them, you will place the answers in those spots. Okay, so I'm going to enter my Kahoot title, and we'll call it this test 35. You could put a description in here if you'd like. Save it to my Kahoots. You can keep this in a visible portion that would only allow you to see it, or you can make it available for everyone. So those are your choices in the free version. Only you can see it or everyone. So you're going to leave as everyone, and you're going to say done. So now we have our test 35, and we can start typing our question. Okay, so I have my question. There are 120 characters that you now have available in the question title there, or the type of question. And you can see that I have 69 characters left at this particular point. Okay, so I now have my question here. Again, I can delete if this is not what I want. I can add an image or not. You can add a YouTube video. You can upload an image that you already have on your computer. Or you can go to the image library. Now you want to make sure, unless you have one of the Pro or Plus versions, you're not going to click on any image down here once if you were to type in the search box here, you're going to get all paid images, and you'll be able to tell. Let's say I said balance sheet. Notice I have every image that I have has this little crown icon. That just means it has to be for one of the paid for versions, so I'm not going to be able to get that. So I go back to the free collection, which is down here, and I'll just highlight a category, business, and you're not going to find as many choices, but maybe I'll find something that'll work for me. So I choose this image, and now I'm going to put my potential answers down here. So I'm going to type in this box. Notice I have 75 characters to place my answer. And so now I click out of it, and then I have an answer choice here. Okay, so as you can see, I've added all of the answer choices, and then I have to select which one is the correct answer. And notice that it changes this to a green background for this check mark. And I now have my question down here, and you can see by this green dot. And also over here you can see that the default is to 20 seconds. Well, maybe I want to adjust that, so I can set the time limit. Maybe 30 seconds is what I want. Notice now, here's your choices, 5 seconds, all the way up to 240 seconds now. So you have up to 240 seconds or 4 minutes, and I'm going to say done. Okay, and notice it had changed to 30 seconds. So I have the ability to add additional questions. And these are the different types of questions that I can add. Now I added a multiple choice there. I can add a poll question, which can be valuable if you're doing it inside a face-to-face classroom environment. However, notice it's got this paid, so that's only going to work if you have either the Plus or the Pro version. But you can do true and false as well. And then there's also a question bank. So here's where I can create a question bank, and I can say something like, what is interest rates? And see if I get what is interest. Here's some different choices. I can scroll down to see if any of these are more appropriate. Things having to do with interest, credit. What are interest rates? And so let's say this is the question I want. Again, you can see here's the question and the answer choices. And I can just add that question. They have the correct answer there. So I add that question, I close. So now we have the question. It has already inserted the question name for me. It's inserted an image that it thinks is appropriate, and it has the correct answer selected here. And you could continue to do that. You can go back to the test bank. And let's say I want this one. Okay, so I have my question, and again, the correct answer. Again, if I wanted to adjust timing of this, I could set the timing. Once I've changed that timing before on that first question, maybe, I want to have an individual question difference. Maybe I'm okay. That type of a thing. So whenever I have all of my questions laid out along with answers, again, you could continue to add questions if you want to, or you can be done. So I'm ready, I can test it out, and I can share with others. So the sharing with others would be if I want to actually kind of use this. Maybe we're working on this as a team, and I want other people to get access to this. Okay, so that's my sharing perspective. So I now have created that test 35. I'm going to actually launch this test 2 here, which is one that I built earlier, so you can see what it looks like from the student's perspective. So I have, might notice that some of these things are similar. So I'm launching, let's make that a little smaller so you can see it there. So I'm launching my screen, and you can see what we have here is it's asking me for a pin, so I have to play this quiz. And we're going to do this in a one-to-one situation, which is the classic choice here. And so it's now creating this code for me here. Okay, so as a student, I'm going to enter this PIN. And hit enter. Okay. And so you're going to see that the players would show up here once they start loading. And so I'm going to come over here and say, OK, go. On my iPhone, you can say now there's one player. Here's the name as student. And then now I can load all of these students in this particular game because we're all in the same pin. So we have get ready, and you can see that this test 2 is now loading, and here's the first question. 3, 2, 1, it counts down for me as a student, and I have the ability to identify which this is, and you can also see over here that it's counting down. And so I select the question. Okay, and then launch the next question. And here's the second question. Again, this is a 20-second question, and it's a true and false. Accumulated depreciation is a contra asset. Okay, and so I have answered that question. And so we have the scoreboard here. If there was more than one student, you'd have the ability to kind of keep score that way if you wanted to have some fun with this. Great work for something like practicing for a test or something like that. So we have another question: what are interest rates? And I think that's going to be the answer. So I, as a student, I'm going to select that and again get that one right. Okay, so we got the first one right and the first one wrong, and here we can see that student was the name given, and there were 1,560 points. It has to do with how fast you answer the question. The more points you get, even if you get it right. So if one person answers it in 5 seconds and the other person answers it in 10 seconds, both of them still beat the 20 or 30-second time limit, but they would have different levels of points because you get more points the faster. And it's just a different way to do that. So you can save the results, you can play the game, you can go to a new game and play another one that maybe you've created, so forth. So that's Kahoot showing you some of the new features, and if you haven't used it before, kind of a nice tool to do a little formative assessment. And again, there are no downloads that is needed either by you or your students. Now, if they're going to be playing on a mobile device, they do have to get the app, but again, the app is free, works on for all the mobile devices on the iOS system as well as Android. And from that perspective, there's plenty of things that you can do with the free version. The plus version at $1 a month, if this is something you think you can get some use of, maybe on a weekly basis with your class, this could be something that you could do. If you're in an online environment, this could be something where if you have like every week you're going to be online, maybe you're using one of the web conferencing tools like Big Blue Button inside Canvas, or you're using Google Hangout, or any of these different types of things. There isn't anything that says that you can't create this ahead of time. Just give the information to the student, start the game, and then they can do it on their own. But you can also do this live, and you can do this, virtually in person as well, and use it for some formative assessment. Maybe if you have a tutoring session Wednesday of each week or Friday of each week, this could actually be a part of it. So hopefully you enjoyed that.